The recent Lagos building collapse has brought the issue of building safety and standards to the fore. There is also the conversation on how effective the Ministry of Physical Planning has been in discharging its role in ensuring proper steps are taken by developers when putting up structures. We had a chat with the Lagos State Commissioner of the Ministry on these issues and lots more. Stay with us.
Three building collapse recorded within 1 month on Lagos Island raises concerns over the state and standards of buildings in the area. This poses a lot of threats to the safety of lives and property, as injuries, dust inhalation, and possible death greet such scenes as where the Lagos Island reported cases. In order to forestall a reoccurrence of such ugly incidents, the Lagos State government has penned down 149 buildings to be demolished across the state. We visited the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Rural Development in the state, who absolves the ministry of any blame in carrying out its functions.
We've always been proactive on the issue of distressed buildings. We had identified 149 distressed buildings all over Lagos State. And we had commenced the process of demolition of such buildings. We started our phase 1 of that exercise started last year, of which 40 of the 149 were removed. And we were on the second phase when the Itafaji building collapse occurred. So we've been proactive and we've been working to ensure that we remove those buildings before they collapse on their own and, in effect, creating loss of lives and properties.
While some houses may have been marked for demolition as a result of building code contravention or state of repair, it sometimes takes a lot to enforce when legal hurdles are thrown into the way. This, according to the Commissioner, slows down work.
Well, it's not true that buildings will be marked for removal 10 years ago and all that. Some of the marks you see may be contraventions in terms of not obeying the spacing and all that. But when it has to do with distress and we put the sign of remove, it doesn't take so long. It's not all the marks that we put on buildings that have to do with removal. Some are for the owners or developers to do some rehabilitation and correct certain anomalies, which will include going for NDIT test, non-destructive integrity test, which will ascertain the level of rehabilitation that needs to be done. Collapse is not really an indictment on our ministry in Lagos State because we have been proactive. Before collapse occurs, we usually spot and we take necessary action to bring the thing under control in removing and in ensuring that people are evacuated. We've always done that. Some people have taken us to court, and when the issue goes to court, this is democracy. We are not in a military dictatorship, so you have to follow the process, and when the case is dispensed with in the court, that's when you can move.
The recent building incidents in the state throws open a series of questions which the Commissioner thinks can only be answered with other Lagosians showing concerns when they detect an anomaly in building construction.
This is one that I'm going through now. It's about somebody who has alerted us about a defective structure somewhere, not Lagos Island. Because when we talk of, people tend to focus too much, it's because that Itafaji incident happened. Defective buildings have been by our own surveillance, and from the 149 that we picked, they are all over the state. Out of the 149, only 48 comes from Lagos Island. So the remaining are spread all over the place. I have letters here telling me of the defective building in Ojodu, in Ayobo, all over. So I thank these whistleblowers, and I urge them to continue, and the media can also do that for us. We are open to listening to such alerts. The essence of all this is to save the lives and properties of our people, because when collapse occurs, we all, the sentiment, we all shout and all that, and blame government, the regulatory body, but there should be this partnership.
The Commissioner clarifies the error on Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning Law, which he says is retroactive and also does not exclude government buildings.
When you look at the Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law, look at Section 27, look at 30, 34, 35, 36, 37. The requirements there that, particularly Section 27 says that you must not develop without getting planning permit. And that legal requirement is not restricted only to the private operators, to the members of the public. It applies to government as well. And we've been applying it. But last year, we started a process of NDIT tests on buildings. And as they say that charity begins at home, we started with government buildings. We started it at the Ministry of Information. It was launched at the Ministry of Information building here in Alausa. And we started with 49 public buildings. The next phase is to go to the public, and which we have been doing. There's what we call post-construction audits, which LAPCA does. Lagos State Building Control Agency does it. Your house, whether you've built your house 10, 20, 50 years ago, they will come to your house and serve notices that first you should bring your planning permits. Those that have, or those that do not have. Those that do not have, we have to subject themselves to tests. And those that have, from there, we will be able to ascertain the date when the building was constructed, and we do the necessary tests on the integrity. And depending on what we find from our test, we determine whether the building is distressed or it needs rehabilitation, fortification, and all that. Because when you talk of defective structure, you are talking of the substructure and the superstructure. The substructure carries the superstructure. If the substructure is defective, it's a graver danger than when it is a superstructure.
In the coming days, more buildings will face the Lagos State government's bulldozers. This may open doors for lobbying to ensure affected buildings are not brought down. The onus is on the government to do what is right in this circumstance.
Be part of the community of game changers by reporting events as they affect you and your environment. Just record the event and post on the Eyewitness portal. Add description, location, and a contact number. But ensure you first download the Channels TV app, launch, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow instructions on how to upload your story. Let's see what you already posted for the week. Our first photo shows a partially submerged vehicle and others stuck as a result of flooding along Agbado Adiyan Road in Okearo local government area of Ogun State. Our eyewitness says this has become the lot of residents whenever it rains. He wants government attention. Next is this shot of a falling container along the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. Our eyewitness says no part of the road is spared as the entire stretch is littered with potholes. He is asking the federal and state governments to come to their rescue. This photo shows a high-tension power facility in Lugbe, Abuja. Our eyewitness says the presence of this structure has not helped in any way with the supply of electricity to the area. He laments the poor state of supply and urges Abuja Disco to step up on their services. Those are your shots, to keep them coming. Eyewitness Report makes a return next week. Till then, I'll keep my eyes on you. Bye-bye.